So, slightly different walk and talk today because I'm not actually walking anywhere. This weather's far too hot, so I've decided I'm sitting here on the bench in the garden instead. But there's something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently, and I wanted to talk about it because I have a feeling I'm probably not the only one who feels like this sometimes. And it's this idea that by a certain point in your life, you're supposed to have everything figured out. You know what you're doing, you know where you're going, you've got your career sorted and your finances sorted, and you've got some grand plan for the next 20 years. And I don't know about you, but I definitely haven't. In fact, I think the older I get, the more I realise how little any of us really have it figured out. When you're younger, it's almost acceptable not to know what you're doing. At 18 or 20, you can change your mind, you can try something, realise it's not for you, then try something else, and nobody really questions that. But as you get older, something changes. There's almost this pressure that says, come on, you should know what you need to do by now. And I think that can be quite difficult because sometimes you can look at your life and think, is this it? And I don't mean that in a depressing way. You can be incredibly grateful for what you've got. You can love your family and appreciate your home and appreciate all the good things in your life and still have this little voice inside you saying, there must be something else I can do and there's more in me than this. And I think that's an important distinction. Now, wanting something more for your life doesn't necessarily mean you're ungrateful for the life that you've already got. And that's something I've had to think about myself. Because I'm getting towards 40 now, and I'm probably questioning what I want for the next part of my life to look like more than I ever have before. Not because everything that's gone before has been wrong, that's far from it. But because time starts to feel different as you get older. When you're 20, another 10 years feels enormous. As you get older, you realise how quickly 10 years actually goes, and suddenly the things you've been saying you'll do one day start to feel a bit more important. Because how long do you keep saying one day? And that's probably one of the reasons I'm so fascinated by ambition. I don't think ambition is just about becoming successful, making loads of money, or building some enormous businesses. Sometimes ambition is much more personal than that. It's that thing you've quietly wanted to do for years, something you keep coming back to, and every now and again you think, love to do that. Then almost immediately another voice comes in. Yeah, but you're too old, or you haven't got the money, or you haven't got the time. What if you're rubbish at it? And what will people think? Someone else is already doing it better. And before you've even started, you've talked yourself out of it. I've done that many times, probably more times than I could count. And social media doesn't exactly help, does it? Because you pick up your phone and everybody seems to be absolutely smashed in life. Someone's just started a business or bought a house, or they're travelling around the world. Someone's just had a promotion, or they've just reached 100,000 followers, and someone's lost loads of weight. Someone's apparently earning £20,000 a month while working 4 minutes a week from a beach in Dubai. And you're sitting at home thinking, Jesus, what am I doing? But we don't see their whole life. We see the bit they've chosen to show us. We don't see the arguments, the failures, the money worries, the anxiety, and the days where they don't have a clue what they're doing. And I think sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that because somebody else's timeline has absolutely nothing to do with yours. There's no rules saying you have to have achieved something by the age of 25 or even 30 or 40 or 50. There's no deadline. And actually, what you want is allowed to change as well. That's something that I've realised. What I wanted when I was 20 isn't necessarily what I want now. And why would it be? You know, life happens. You experience different things. You meet people. You lose people. You have good years and you have awful years. You become a parent, you change jobs and you make mistakes. And you learn things about yourself that you couldn't possibly have known when you were younger. All of that changes you. So maybe the question isn't, why haven't I got my life figured out yet? Maybe the better question is, what do I want the next part of my life to look like? And I really like that question because there's something hopeful about it. You're not pretending the past didn't happen. You're not saying you've wasted your life. You're not just looking forward and saying, right, I'm here now, so what next? And the answer doesn't have to be enormous. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to change your career. Maybe you've always wanted to write something or learn an instrument or travel or get fitter. Or maybe you want to start creating something or just become a slightly happier version of yourself. Whatever it is, and here's something I keep reminding myself, if something is going to take you 5 years to achieve, those 5 years are going to pass anyway. That's quite a powerful thought when you actually stop and think about it. Imagine there's something you've always wanted to learn and you think it'll take me 3 years to get good at that. Okay, so 3 years from now, you're going to be 3 years older anyway. You can either be 3 years older having learnt it, or 3 years older wishing you'd started. And I don't mean that we should all go home tonight and quit our jobs and empty the bank account and chase our dreams. That's not real life. Most people can't do that. You know, we've got bills and mortgages and families and responsibilities and people relying on you. And I actually think some of the advice online around ambition is completely unrealistic, because it makes people feel like unless they're willing to take that risk, then absolutely everything, they don't want it badly enough. And I don't believe that. Sometimes ambition has to happen quietly, half an hour after the kids have gone to bed, or an hour on a Sunday morning, you know, just sending that one email, making the one phone call, saving £20, or applying for something, or recording your first video even though you're terrified nobody will watch it, taking that first photograph, writing the first page, or going for the first walk. Nobody's going to applaud you for those things. Nobody might even know you're doing them, but that's where things start. And I think that's the bit we forget. We see people's chapter 20 and compare it to our chapter 1. Then we convince ourselves we're behind. You're not behind, you're just where you are. And from where you are today, you can still move forward. I think that's what ambition means to me more and more. It's not about having everything figured out, because I certainly don't. It's about having something in you that says, I'm not finished yet, and there's still something I want to try, I want to build, or places I want to go, or someone that I want to become. And I think as long as you have that thought inside you and there's that little bit of fire, then that's enough. You don't need the whole plan, you just need that next step, and you just need to keep moving forward. So maybe that's something worth thinking about this week. Forget what you think you should be, forget what everybody else is doing, and forget your age for a minute. And ask yourself one question: what would I still love to do? And whatever comes into your head, don't immediately tell yourself why you can't do it. Just sit with that for a minute, because maybe that little voice that's been telling you for years that you want to do something is worth listening to. Anyway, that's my thoughts for this week. Slightly less walking than usual, perhaps a bit more thinking, and I'll see you all again next week. Take care.